Mm-hmm.
That's
Next
still,
year, is it?
yeah,
Yeah.
October next
Yeah,
year.
I'll definitely make it next year. I think hopefully things should be back to normal in India by then. So,
Hope so.
I think. What about exams? Are they? When are they starting? Any?
Well, we're being a bit tentative about it at the moment. I do have the role of deputy convener of exams, so MRCS is sort of my pet, as it were. So we're hopeful that they'll start early next year. We're being a wee bit non-committal because obviously we don't know the next variant and all that sort of side of things, and how obviously each part of the world is slightly different. You know, because we do look at obviously sort of the likes of KL and Singapore as being sort of the most promising areas, just in terms of how they're coping with the virus and the like. So and we usually go to KL in January. So it might well be that might be the first one round about us going out abroad, but we're dead keen to do it because we realise obviously there's a massive backlog. People are desperate to sit the exam. So international exams, we really hope will get up and running, big style early next year. But there's nothing definite as yet.
Dr. Murtaza? Yeah, I think people have joined, so maybe in a couple of minutes we should start.
Sure. I think let's wait till 5 and then start.
No
Give
problem.
Another 3 minutes.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So because the audiovisual people had given me a call that when to start, so I'll tell them to start in about 3 minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
And we'll start recording and maybe putting on the YouTube as well.
Catherine, have you got my mobile number?
Yes, I think so. Let me just check.
Just because on a slightly different thing. I've had conversations with Mike, Paula, and Mariette since Friday about Nepal and a conference in Nepal. So I'll just put you in a picture about that.
Okay, I don't have your number here, Stuart. Just email it to me, and I can. Do you want me to ring you after this? Is that?
Yeah, is that all right? I'll just tell you. It's 07967.
Yeah.
07967 09. Oh no, 079 094102.
094102. Okay, I'll give you a call after this, and we can.
Cheers.
Talk
Thanks. 07967.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Murtaz just forwarded it as well. Perfect. Thank you.
Mr. Siddharth?
Yes, sir.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes,
we would start.
Yes, I have started, sir.
In 1 minute at 5 sharp. Okay.
Yes,
so you can give us the countdown, maybe 5 seconds before we are about to go live.
Yeah.
Can you see my file?
Yeah, Adi, we can see your slides, so you can minimize it now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Hello, Adip, can you minimize your slide? We wish to start.
1 second. Idris?
No, yeah, right. That's okay.
Minimize my slide. I don't know.
Siddharth, can we start?
Yes, sir, you can.
Right. So, dear faculties and delegate attending today's meeting, very good afternoon to all who are attending this meeting and those who are in India, and good day to all others who are in different part of the world according to your respective time zone. I am Dr. Pradeep Sharma. I am the moderator. I am a surgeon, and on behalf of Pune Surgical Society, I welcome you all for this informative meeting on the opportunities for the international medical graduates to train in the UK. Can I request Dr. Sanjay Kolte and Dr. Chetan Maske, who are the president of Pune Surgical Society, and Dr. Chetan Maske, who is the secretary of Pune Surgical Society, to say a few words at the beginning of this meeting.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening and good morning to few in UK. I'm Dr. Sanjay Kolte, president of Pune Surgical Society. I welcome you all to this special webinar on how to go about a further experience and training in UK. In 2001, when I passed my MRCS examination and became the member of Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh, I had not much knowledge how to go about actually to go to UK for further training. That time I had applied for a limited registration through BCL and got an opportunity to work at Middlesex, but unfortunately or fortunately, I couldn't go to UK. I settled in India. But I'm sure now there are so many ways to actually seek such training in UK, and we all are eagerly waiting for to hear it from experts now, how to go about it. So I would like to actually invite Dr. Pradeep Sharma sir for moderating this session. But just before that, as we know, Dr. Sharma sir is a teacher, professor, and consultant in general and laparoscopy and GI colorectal surgery. But I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate him also, because he is recently selected unopposed as a president-elect of Association of Colon and Rectal Surgeons of India for the year 2021 to 2023. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
And so kindly take over and through this session today evening. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanjay. And Chetan, would you like to say something?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving a PSC as a platform. Our students, our PG students who are now waiting for this opportunity, giving them the what I call a gateway. I wish that I could have been a few years younger, so I could have been joined this session and I could have been going to the MRCS. But never mind. I will also attend this and I will see my juniors how to go ahead with this. Please, sir, you are the best person to moderate the session. So I request you to please start the session, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chetan. Now, we surgeons, we always like to be good surgeons, and to become a good surgeon, one requires a good knowledge and good skill. And a good knowledge and good skill would only come from good training. We all know that the training in UK is one of the best training in the world. And many of the international medical graduates are quite eager to go to UK and try to give finer touches to their surgical knowledge and surgical skill. So to give us more insight into the training in the United Kingdom, we have arranged this symposium or webinar, and we have two very eminent speakers. Now, before I start with this webinar, I would like to request all the delegates to keep their mic muted, and whatever questions or queries they have, kindly put them in the chat box so we can answer those queries at the end of this symposium. So we would start with this. I have great pleasure inviting the first speaker, Dr. Adib Murtuza. Adib Murtuza is my very close friend. He's a very senior consultant orthopedic surgeon. He has specialized, he has trained in the UK for 12 years, and he is specialized in primary and revision joint replacement, especially knee and hip. He has got a wide experience in the primary and revisional joint replacement. He's a consultant at Inamdar Hospital, Jahangir Hospital, and Ruby Hall Clinic, which are the three prominent hospitals of the city. He has been a keen academician with a lot of publications and a lot of presentation in surgical societies. He's also examiner for the MRCS. But most important of this is that he is an international surgical advisor, which acts as a liaison between the surgical institutions all over the world and the Royal College of Surgeons, Edinburgh. So Dr. Adib Murtuza is going to speak on the introduction to the Royal College of Surgeons, Edinburgh, and the format of surgical training in the UK. So Dr. Adib.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma, for the kind introduction. Just try and get my presentation.
Yeah.
My technical support, my younger son is helping me. I'm not very good at all this. Just give me a minute. Yes. Hi. Can everybody see the screen? Hello.
We can see it. Kindly go to the slideshow.
Yep.
Click on the slideshow.
Yeah. Is it to start?
Yes, you can.
Hello?
You can.
Yeah. Hi. Good evening, everybody. My name is Sahil. In Pune. I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I do mainly. Dr. Sharma is a good friend and a colleague. I just want to basically talk a little bit about the RCS Edinburgh, the Royal College of Surgeons in Edinburgh, and a little bit about UK surgical training, and then I'll hand over to Dr. Stuart Clark, who's the National Dean of the RCSEd, and he will then talk about specifically about the MRCS exam and fellowship programs with. So basically, the RCS Edinburgh is one of the oldest surgical corporations in the world. It was founded in 1505, so that makes it almost 500 years old. The motto is Hinc Sanitas, really means from here it begins. There are lots of famous fellows, but I just mentioned these two. Joseph Lister, most of you are aware, is considered the father of antiseptic surgery. Was a fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons, Edinburgh. And my favorite, Joseph Bell. He was also a fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons. If you probably may not have heard about him, unless you're a fan of Sherlock Holmes. His Sherlock Holmes character was actually based on Joseph Bell. So Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was also, I think, a fellow of the Royal College. Joseph Bell was his teacher, actually. And he was sort of very impressed with his methods. And Joseph Bell was used to be consulted by the Scotland police force for various cases, forensics, etc. And he observed this deductive qualities in him and based his character Sherlock Holmes on Joseph Bell. So just a little bit of historical anecdotes here. Basically, what are the activities of the RCS ED? Just to give you an understanding, in the UK, these College of Surgeons are actually surgical corporations or institutions, as you call them, which usually run by surgeons, and they basically oversee surgical in the UK to a large extent, and obviously in so that what they do basically, they have a range of activities. Most of you probably know that they conduct formal exams, so they the common are the MR, the memories, which is done the surgical training, and colleges, which is, they also do a lot of other exams, which include a lot of dent exams. Similar, they have exams. They also conduct certain exams for pre-medical care, etc., for accident emergent care, etc. Also, the second biggest role of the college is doing courses. So they do a lot of courses which are physical training courses, typically patient courses, basic laparoscopies, courses, a lot of mental courses, variety of courses that prepare you for these exams, etc. Another big role that the college does is accreditation. So they basically instance, surgical instance, to conduct courses or to conduct training, etc. They maintain a very large resource online, very large source. You know, they have books, online resources, especially you know, there's a whole division on surgical anatomy. Interest develop faculty last one I think is the curriculum. I think it's a very
Adib, can you talk a little loudly? Your voice is breaking. Hello.
Can't hear anything.
Yeah.
Hello.
Adib.
Hello. Yeah,
Adib.
I think my internet went for. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello.
What I can suggest is that you can shut off your video. You can stop your video, so that I think you have a low bandwidth, so you can stop your video and just continue with the presentation.
Okay.
On the left hand side, there is a start video. So on that you click and you can stop your video. So then your voice would improve.
Just give me a minute. I think I might have. Give me 1 minute. 1 minute, please.
Low left corner.
I'm really sorry for this. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So now you can go to slideshow.
Sure. Is it on slideshow now?
Yeah, no, not yet.
Can you see the slide?
You can see your first slide, but not in slideshow.
Where's that option? Slideshow. Sorry.
Go down just on the left hand side of the volume button.
Just give me a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. But we are on your 6th slide, slide number 6. I think you have skipped some slides.
No, it's not coming. Hello.
You go to next to animation. On the right hand side of animation is slideshow. Top menu.
Yeah.
On the right side of animation is slideshow.
It says transitions.
Right side.
Animation slideshow.
Yeah.
Okay now?
Yeah, right. Perfect.
I really apologize for this. Okay.
Sure.
So we finished this slide, right? Core activity. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So basically, in terms of exams, as I mentioned, the first exam that I talked about is the MRCS exam, the Member of the Royal College of Surgeons exam. The next exam, the most important, is the FRCS. There are also a lot of dental exams, and I mentioned courses as well. And there are a few postgraduate programs. Some of these are actually available online now. There is an MSc in, I think, in general surgery. There's an MCH in trauma and orthopedic surgery. RCS it has international divisions as well. There's one in Edinburgh, Birmingham, in Kuala Lumpur, in Malaysia as well. And there is a large international membership. There is an international division that I think Mr. Clark will talk about soon. And there is a coordinated approach to international activity, a lot of partnership work. And there is a new sort of international strategy being developed. International activity includes examinations, education, collaborative projects, and a large part is the international postgraduate deanery. And local support is then given by international surgical advisors such as myself and international dental ambassadors as well. As I mentioned, there is an international office in KL. How do you get involved with the college? The easiest is to become an affiliate member. It's quite simple. I'll explain that in the next slide. Other way to get involved is to appear for the exams and pass the exams. The first one I think would be the MRCS exam and then the FRCS. And lastly, honorary FRCS is also bestowed upon eminent and senior surgeons, and there is another route for that. If they're interested, I can talk to them privately as well. So to become an affiliate, this is for junior trainees. You just need to go onto the RCSEd website. You need to log in and create a profile, and you register as an affiliate member. There is a minimal yearly charge. But what it gives you is gives you a lot of access to a lot of material online. It gives you access to the Ackland Anatomy online tool, which is quite interesting. It can give you, it offers you advice, professional support, etc. It can network events in your local area. You can access the library. You can get online discounts from medical publishers, etc. And if you were to visit Edinburgh, you can get a discounted accommodation at the Royal College. Now, just to move on to UK surgical training. There are three parts to UK surgical training. The first is called foundation training. The second is core training. And lastly, you have specialist training. It is training in the UK does take a little longer than it takes in the UK. It takes a little longer than it takes in the UK. Foundation training is hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. I'm just trying to. Page is not. Yeah. Foundation training is basically for 2 years, and it is similar to internship here after MBBS. This is followed by core training. In the past, this used to be called basic surgical training, and nowadays it is for 2 years, CT1, CT2. And at the end of core training, you must complete the MRCS exam to then proceed to specialist training. Specialist training is approximately 6 years, and there are 10 specialties that you can go into. These include general surgery, orthopedic surgery, and there's a whole list of surgical specialties, neurosurgical, neurosurgery, cardiothoracic surgery, etc. And on completion of specialist training, you do the FRCS exam. The old FRCS, I think, was just one exam. I think in 98, the exams were divided into two, MRCS and the FRCS. And as I mentioned earlier, the MRCS is an exam which signifies end of core training or core surgical training or basic surgical training. And the FRCS exam is an exit exam of specialist surgical training. Some programs are run through, so they don't have core training. They start with specialist training straight away after foundation training, and they sort of run from ST1 to ST8. These are basically neurosurgery and cardiothoracic surgery. Now, where do international medical graduates enter UK surgical training? And I think you can get in at all levels. It depends on your training and qualifications. If you've just passed MBBS and you want to do all your surgical training in the UK, then you basically enter at core training level. So you enter at the completion of foundation training and you start core training. If you have finished your MS here, then you probably enter at specialist training. So you enter between core training and surgical specialist training. So that's what, this is just a general guideline. And what is the role of the Royal College of Surgeons in all this? As I mentioned, we have a division called the International Postgraduate Deanery, and Mr. Stewart is actually the postgraduate dean of that. And they deal with mainly applicants at the specialist level at various grades. Usually specialist grade training starts at ST3, then sort of progresses for another 4 years or 6 years after that, and till ST8, and you can come in at any level in between, depending upon your experience and your qualifications. So I think that's all from my end, and I apologize for the technical issues. I'll request Dr. Sharma to now please introduce Dr. Stewart, and he'll do the next session. Thank you.
So thank you, Adib, for your valuable presentation. And yeah, you can close your presentation. Yeah. And now I have great pleasure in introducing our next speaker, most important speaker, Dr. Stuart Clark. He is a member of the Royal College of Edinburgh. He's a full-time NHS consultant in oral and facial-maxillary surgery in Manchester and affiliated to the Manchester Royal Infirmary. He has been actively involved in the examination, various educational activity of the IMG and the Royal College of Surgeons at Edinburgh. He is not only a council member, but he holds many other positions on the Royal College Edinburgh. Most important of them is Deputy Convener of Examination of the Royal College, and he is also the Dean of the International Postgraduate Medical Deanery. So I have great pleasure in inviting Dr. Stuart Clark, and he's going to talk on role of the Royal College of Surgeons at Edinburgh in specialist surgical training of the international medical graduate. Dr. Stuart, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sharma, and thank you very much, colleagues. I'll just try and share my screen if I can. Can you all see that?
Yes, we can see it.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much for asking me to present at this webinar. It is an honour for me to talk to our colleagues in the East, as it were. I would like to stress exactly what Murtaza has said in his talk, in the sense that the international profile for the Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh is very important to us. So you are very important to us in the Indian subcontinent and elsewhere. Whilst we approach 30,000 members and fellows and affiliates in the college, approximately half of those do come from out with the UK. So a large percentage of our team, as members and fellows, are yourselves. So you are very important to us, and we'd like to emphasize that. So I'm now going to talk about training in the UK in surgical examinations and specifically the deanery, just following on from what Dr. Deeb's just said. Jumping straight in terms of the MRCS. Now, as Dr. Deeb has said, this is the main way that people or young surgical trainees will encounter the college in the UK and abroad. As much as though we do run lots of courses, sitting the membership exam is usually the first step in being involved in the college. And it is a critical exam, as has been highlighted. This is an exam that you must pass to progress from core surgical training to specialist surgical training. So from that point of view, your surgical career does not get past basic surgical training until you've passed this exam. There are 4 Royal Colleges in the UK, as you can see, Edinburgh, England, Glasgow and Ireland. It doesn't matter which college you get your MRCS from. They're all very interchangeable. They all mean exactly the same. Obviously, we promote Edinburgh because we think Edinburgh's the best, and it does have a reputation of being the friendly college, and we'd like that to stay like that in the sense of that you are our colleagues. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you get your exam. As you can see, we have 11 venues in the UK where we hold the exam and 27 venues overseas, of which 6, 7, 8 of them are in India. And the examination is made up of 2 parts, a Part A and a Part B. Part A is a written examination where it's an examination of knowledge. Part B is more practical in terms of the application of your knowledge. Part A, this is a comprehensive slide outlining what's involved in it, but it is 2 papers, a 3-hour paper and a 2-hour paper where it's questions on applied basic science and principles of surgical in general. Both the papers are sat on the same day, and they're sat concurrently throughout all the candidates from all 4 colleges all on the same day. So it's not as if you can do paper one day in a different country, another day in a different country, and then obviously find out what everybody got asked. It's all at the same time. It can be done on paper or it can be done now virtually. And you have 6 attempts to pass this exam before moving on to Part B. But you have to have passed Part A to move on to Part B. Part B is an OSCE examination, and prior to COVID, it consisted of 18 stations of 9 minutes duration. And during those 9 minutes, there are 2 components. There are 8 stations of applied knowledge, so that would be examination of prosections, surgical pathology, where you're asked to interpret a specimen, applied surgical science and critical care, that's where you might be given a scenario and questions on it. That can be burns, that can be fluid balance, that can be a post-operative complication. Then there's the applied skills. So these are communication skills in terms of giving and receiving information, history taking, and procedural skills. To pass Part B, you have to pass the 2 separate components individually. So you must pass the applied knowledge from the 8 stations, and you must pass the applied skills from the 10 stations. You can't compensate between each other. And each OSCE will have a component of clinical knowledge and application where you'll get scored, clinical and technical skill, communication and professionalism. The number of marks allocated to each domain varies with the station that you're on. So you can imagine on the, let's say, history taking and history giving, there's not much in terms of clinical knowledge in its application. A large proportion of the marks will be on communication. As a result of COVID, there were a number of changes. The number of stations were reduced from 18 to 13. There are no examination of patients. There are no anatomy prosections. The anatomy stations consist of annotated slides, diagrams, and they've changed it so that there are now 2 minutes between each station. So it's still a 9-minute station where you're examined, but there are 2 minutes between the stations. So that gives you time to get to the next station, to sanitize again, to collect your thoughts, and then a minute for reading them. And as a result of the COVID change, there is an overall pass. You may recall I said you had to pass applied skills and applied knowledge, not at the moment for the COVID changes. You just have to get an overall pass from these 13 stations, but it still involves 2 circuits, a circuit of 7 and a circuit of 7, and a rest station on one of them. So these are the COVID changes. It has been statistically shown that the examination pass is still of the same standard as having 18 stations. The GMC have accepted it, the GMC being our regulatory body. So it is not an easier exam, nor is it an exam diminished by the changes. We will be continuing on with these COVID changes for the rest of 2021. It is highly likely that we will go back to 18 stations when we start examining abroad, which hopefully will be early next year, pandemic permitting. But it will, as I say, involve going back to 18 stations, but it will also mean that there will be 2 minutes between the stations. So there is going to be slight changes brought on by COVID, but the important thing is 18 stations. It'll go back to passing each section. There will obviously still be prosections involved in examination venues where prosections are available, but there will be 2 minutes between the stations. I've spent a long time talking about MRCS because MRCS is the gateway of how many of you will become involved in the college. These are just some of the examples of other surgical examinations for medics that we undertake through the Edinburgh College. I note obviously Dr. Adib had a diploma in sports and exercise medicine, for example. So there are many other examinations, including FRCS, where you may encounter the college. But MRCS is the workhorse where many of you will come across it initially. Moving on to training, really just progressing on from, again, what Dr. Abid says. The Edinburgh College has been undertaking training for international graduates now for over 25 years, and it's been has a number of forms over that period of time. In the mid 20-teens, as it were, there were two methods of training that the college ran. One was the International Medical Graduate Scheme. The second one was a bit more advanced for more experienced surgeons. And in 2019, we amalgamated these two pathways of training to take the best from each pathway to have one unified pathway for surgical training in the UK. This draws a parallel between the two. In the UK trainees are involved in deaneries. The training's provided by trusts. They're involved in training posts with assigned trainers, and they have learning agreements that are for each placement during the course of their 5-year training, 6-year training. The International Postgraduate Deanery will have UK training overseen by the IPD. So we perform the same function as the deanery. The training still provided with the hospital, within a hospital trust. The training post is IPD approved, so it is very much you are coming to the UK to get trained. You're not here just to fill a post where there might be a shortage. It's very much, I emphasize to the trusts that there must be a training component to it where you get supervised operating. Provided by trainers, so same trainers, the educational supervisors and clinical supervisors, and you still have a learning agreement and a training review. The learning agreement is important because that essentially says what you are going to provide to the unit as part of training and what the unit will provide you as part of training. And that can be exposure, laparoscopic techniques, or lasers, or robotics. I'm just saying that for any of those, for example. But the learning agreement is important. And it is very much that you will come to the UK for 12 to 24 months for you to take your skills that you have learned back to your home country. This is not a means of actually coming to the UK and staying in the UK. It is very much taking your skills back to the good of the population from your country of origin. So you will learn lots of skills in the NHS, both technical skills, but also in terms of multidisciplinary team working and integration between other specialties. As Moat has highlighted there, it's for specialty training. So you must have an MRCS equivalent to come to the UK to be involved in the deanery. The training is available in all surgical specialties, as I've said, for 12 to 24 months, and emphasizing again the training goals that are a part of the learning agreement. And essentially, there are two ways of coming to the UK through the International Postgraduate Deanery. One is where you, as the trainee, have already found the training post that you're coming to the UK to take part in. That may be through people you've met in conferences, or by old bosses or colleagues who've had experience, where I say you've already got contact and you've already got a post. So we will support your visa application, give you an induction, give you ongoing support during the course of your training period, and you'll get a diploma day, and you'll get the post-nominals membership of the International Postgraduate Diploma Deanery. Training Route 2 will provide all of those, but Training Route 2 is where you don't have a post to come to in the UK. So then we, as the College of Surgeons of Edinburgh, will try to find you a post. That will be a vacant training post in any of the nations of the UK, so Ireland, Scotland, England, Wales. So it can be any of those countries that we will try to find you a post, and then therefore obviously support you in the course of your training. So in terms of combining the courses, combining the routes, we've got a lot more quality assurance within the deanery, and that's going to be the same regardless of how you're appointed, whether that be Route 1 or Route 2. There is an induction to NHS and UK practice, because we certainly find that most trainees who come from abroad, they adapt very well in terms of their technical knowledge and their skills and their ability to operate. That is rarely a problem, but being familiar with the NHS, being familiar with the GMCs, the regulatory body, being familiar with confidentiality, for example, that is where trainees may find it difficult to adapt. So the induction that we hold every 6 months, the next one coming up actually early next month in Edinburgh, is very important. There is a fee, as you gather there, a one-off fee both to the trainee and to the trust. As I've said, you get the nominals and the membership of the International Postgraduate Deanery. During the period of your training, you will also be an affiliate of the Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh. That would be if you've got if you're not a member already through an MRCS. So if for example you've got an MS, or if you've got an MRCS from one of the other colleges, we'll still give you an affiliateship. So that will give you access to the college, access to the courses that the college run, as well as Ackland and all the online opportunities available. Before you reach the UK, to be eligible, you must have nothing essentially to do with Europe. That's obviously in a bit of flux with how the UK has changed its relationship to Europe, but there is a transitional period, and I think 2 or 3 years from now, people from Europe will be allowed in through this scheme. You've got to hold an acceptable undergraduate qualification. There's a ready list available on the GMC website outlining whether your undergraduate qualification is accepted. As I've said, you must have equivalent to an MRCS, so that can be an MS or a postgraduate qualification where essentially there has to have been some degree of clinical examination. So the OSCE equivalent of clinical examination as part of your course. You've got to obviously be proficient in the English language. You've got to be in clinical practice for the last 12 months, as well as 3 of the last 5 years. Some activities are permitted, such as parental leave. In terms of the support before you arrive, we'll give you sponsorship for the GMC. We'll help with your visa, the affiliate network, and also we'll give you help in terms of accessing a UK bank account. I know that sounds a wee bit strange, but it's very difficult getting accommodation if you don't have a UK bank account. It's very difficult getting your obviously your salary up and running until you've got one of those. So it might seem a wee bit slightly strange, but that's an important thing just in terms of your ability to live in the UK from an early stage. As I said, induction is very important. These are some of the things that we're having in the induction next month. So we're talking about teamwork, patient safety, professional standards, the regulatory body, communication, confidentiality, and it's spread over 2 to 3 days. So there will be a dinner, there'll be a campus tour of the Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh and Surgeons Quarter, and obviously you get an opportunity to look around the museum, which is I think the 6th most popular tourist site in Edinburgh, obviously after the castle and Holyrood, but it's an extremely popular venue for tourism. Life in the UK, you'll get salaried from the trust, and that can vary, but I think that's the right sort of exchange rate, but it'll usually be about 45,000 is the salary that you will get. It varies slightly, obviously, from trust to trust and how much on call there may be involved. Accommodation can be expensive, particularly if your post is in London. But in London, you're not likely to want to have a car because there's no need for a car in London. It'll just cost you a lot of money. But obviously, if your post is in Inverness, then the opportunity to see the Highlands and Islands of Scotland and drive down to Edinburgh to see the sights of Edinburgh. So travel, I'd say £75 per month, no car. Food can be inexpensive if you're good at shopping. I wouldn't claim to be that myself, but it can be inexpensive. So how to apply? It's certainly available on the Royal College website, but the sponsorship at rcsed.ac.uk. As I say, there are 2 routes: training post found or seeking a training post. You submit a copy of your CV and your operative summary for the last 12 months. That's obviously, if you're going to apply for an ST post, that gives and coming by the second training route, gives you the people who you're going to be working with an idea of what sort of level and where you would fit into the team. And the Dean team will reply with a full application pack. So it is something that we were talking before my talk there just now, that has still been very popular even during COVID, where we're still having well over 200 applications a year. I say, obviously waned a little bit during the COVID period, but is now starting to take off again. So it is a scheme that we're very familiar with and very proud of, and we welcome, as I say, applications through the deanery for people, as I say, to learn and hone their skills so you can take it back to your own countries. I think that is it. I'm more than happy to answer any questions at all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Clark, and that was a very, very informative lecture. And I think most of the queries Miss Catherine has been Yeah, she has been very kind enough to have answered, I think, most of the queries as you were going along, and as the questions were coming in the chat box. Miss Catherine has been very kind enough to have answered, I think, most of the queries. There are just few questions. When is going to be the next MRCS exam? I think the last exam got cancelled because of the COVID. So one candidate has asked when is going to be the next MRCS session.
Yes, well, I can speak as deputy convener of examinations, so it's something I'm very familiar with, because my main role is looking after the MRCS.
Right.
Realistically, we hope it's going to be early next year. We can't see it being this year. Obviously, there's a little bit of flexibility on that, depending upon the next variant that comes around and vaccinations and the like. But we sincerely hope that we'll be performing international exams in the spring next year. That's the first ones that we might be doing, as Dr. Adib has mentioned there. We do have a base in an office in KL, and KL we normally have visited KL for examinations in January every year. So it might well be that Kuala Lumpur in January might be the first examination that we start, based upon obviously the remaining green from the UK point of view. And obviously the examinations we're going to try and do with more local examiners, if at all possible, to cut down on the international travel side of things. But there still will be examiners like myself and like Zahid and Ahmed and Paula Rajesh, all senior people in the exam team, still going out to India and the like. So we sincerely hope it's going to be early next year.
Okay. And I think all the other questions have been really answered. One question was that is the information about study material available on your website?
When you say study material, what do you mean by study? What do you think is meant by study material?
One delegate has asked regarding fluid administration to the patient.
Oh, no. There may be webinars on covering aspects of surgical training on the website, and that might be fluid balance or some of the critical skills side of things. So there may be webinars on the college website about that. But those sort of things, you can imagine those sort of areas will be covered in any good surgical or critical care textbook. And we're not looking for a detailed, let's say, precise knowledge. We want, bearing in mind that the level that these people sit in the exam, it's going to be people completing core surgical training. So it's an understanding and a working knowledge of, for example, fluid balance. So I'd suggest any good critical care textbook would cover it very much. But and that wouldn't surprise me if there were webinars available. I can't be precise though.
Okay. There's another question. Is FLAP compulsory prior to applying for sponsored training?
No, it isn't. It's not compulsory. IELTS is, and knowledge of English is, but FLAB is not.
Okay. Right. And I think most of the other questions Miss Catherine has already answered.
Murtaza, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add.
Yeah.
You mentioned about getting material to prepare for the exam.
Right.
There are various reading lists of recommended textbooks available, and I think it's on the college website as well. And there are lots of other online forums where you can get a list of study material so that you know where to read for the exam, particularly for part 1. And then for the OSCE part, there are various courses that are conducted. If you're in India, there are some courses conducted in Delhi. We do one in Pune as well. So we have a course, MRCS preparation course, for the OSCE in Pune as well. We do that. And so locally, that sort of thing is available. So if people want to prepare for the MRCS exam. And I think a lot of the people are asking about, this is something that I also need to clear with Mr. Clark, is that if you have is MRCS absolutely necessary, even if you have an MS from India, to apply for the sponsorship?
Right.
No, it isn't. You must have a postgraduate qualification equivalent to an MRCS. So an MS is equivalent, so you don't need an MRCS, an MS will do.
And you mentioned the 2-year program. Can you just elaborate? Does it lead to an exit exam and an international FRCS?
No, it doesn't. It forms part of your surgical experience. It forms part of your surgical training, but it doesn't lead directly into anything else. So no, it's not as if you completed your surgical training to sit the examination. It's part of your training, but it doesn't specifically lead to anything else.
Is there, one candidate has asked, is there any route of entering into the mainstream FRCS after this training route?
No.
Okay.
No. This is, as I say, this is standalone training that doesn't specifically take you into anything else.
Right. Okay, so I think most of the questions are already answered over here, and I think if any delegate have any further questions, can they visit the website or write to Miss Catherine on the email? Right. So I think with that, we are coming to the end of the session. Sanjay, would you like to say anything? Sanjay or Chetan?
Hello.
Yeah.
No, sir. That was actually a very well arranged program for the trainees and for the PGs who are interested in joining the further training in UK. And I'm glad we could arrange it for trainees in Pune and around in India. And it was a lucid information given by all of the panelists. So I'm really thankful to them. Yeah.
So I think with that, we come to the end of this seminar, and I thank all my faculties. I thank Dr. Clark, Dr. Adib. I am thankful to the Royal College of Surgeons Edinburgh to have arranged such an informative lecture for our members. I'm thankful to the Pune Surgical Society to have collaborated with this very informative webinar, and all the delegates who have attended this informative webinar to make it successful. And last but not the least, the DigiShield, who have been our audiovisual partners for this webinar. So with that, I thank one and all, and I think this meeting comes to an end. Thank you, everybody, and good day to everyone.
Thank you very much.